We are back louder with Crowder. Thrilled to have this next guest in because I grew up on the guy. I'm going to geek out a little bit. The one and only Dean Cain is with us. Dean, thank you for coming in, sir.
Steven, I think you just in a roundabout way just said I'm old.
Not so much in a roundabout way. It was
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. But,
That's pretty direct.
I figure it's okay because for those who are listening terrestrially, we're doing this actually as a video cast. You can listen to it louderwithcrowder.com. You look good, so it doesn't matter if you're old.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
My body sometimes betrays me a little bit, but I'm hanging in there.
Well, what's funny, though, is so many Hollywood actors let themselves go completely. So before we get into obviously why you're in the news, why haven't you? Like, why am I not seeing, the double chins of I don't want to name names because they could be friends, but you know what I'm talking about.
Hey, it happens to everybody sometimes. Body type might be part of it. Stress, lack of working out, hitting the drugs. I don't do drugs, so I'm okay on that spot. Who knows what it is? But I got good genes, and I got to chase my 14-year-old around a lot, so he keeps me decently in shape. Although about 15 minutes ago, he was beating my tail in the other room.
Oh, he was actually beating you up, or was he beating you at a video game?
No, he was literally, I was tired, and he was literally pounding on me and laughing, and I was laughing too hard to do anything about it. So
how dare he?
I was taking a whooping. I'm going to get him back. Don't get me wrong.
Well, my dad's actually a national champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he's 54. And so I don't really get to do that with him. We train together, but what's funny is we train and you're fighting, right? It's full on. I don't know if you know the sport. You're full on fighting. Sure. Then you get mad at each other, so you fight. You're like, let's fight about it. We were just fighting. It's completely pointless.
But now you're fighting for real.
Yes, exactly. Now you're fighting for real.
Sort of dancing before. Now you're getting into it.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So, Dean, you've been all over the media, funnily enough, this week, which is not really why it initially reached out to you. We sort of connected last week, and then boom, whirlwind, because you were friends with the American Sniper. Right, Mr.
I'm wearing a hat for him right now.
That's right. I can see that right there.
Yep.
And not only that, but of course, there have been a lot of celebrities in the news. Seth Rogen, Michael Moore talking out, and you sent Jabba the Moore a tweet yourself. What was it that you sent to him?
Well, he said he was taught that snipers were cowards.
Yeah.
And the reality is, I don't know anybody who's less of a coward in the world that I've ever met than Chris Kyle. Right. So that ticked me off. Again, Chris is a good friend of mine. He trained me. We were partners on Stars Earned Stripes. We became great friends from there, and we were going to stay friends forever. And I was just ticked off the way I would be ticked off if you called my brother a name I didn't like.
Sure.
So I sent back a lovely quick tweet, and I said something to the effects of call Chris Kyle a coward to my face, and I think we'll see who a coward is. It was very playground, but it came out. It just came out.
Well, here's this is a genuine question, okay? And believe me, I am not going to judge you if you answer the way that I pray to God you do. Let's say it actually happens, okay? Some parallel universe. Michael Moore is in a room with you. I don't know. He's in a bar. And he says, okay, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try and in triple sow cow stick the landing. Dean Cain, your friend Chris Kyle, is a coward. Okay, would you bring him bodily harm?
Have I had a drink or two yet?
I mean, that depends on the scenario. Let's say
sometimes I pull that trigger a lot faster if I've had a couple drinks. That trigger just gets pulled right away. Bang. I mean, it would be look. Would I like to give him a smack for that if he looked me in the eye as a man and said that?
Sure.
I'd love to be on an elevator with him and have him say that.
Right. Well,
with no camera. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, you don't want the Ray Rice.
Hold on. Yeah,
there's a camera.
I take that back. Not an elevator. Jay-Z, Ray Rice. No. So
right.
Don't put us in an elevator. Put us someplace without a camera. Yeah. It's hard. You don't never. When something like that happens, you don't know how you really react. I mean, I would maybe I'd slap him.
I would think an open palm
slap.
And he would probably
open palm, as well as anybody. But you hit him open palm in the right
palm
spot,
strike.
It's as hard as anything.
Well, the problem
but you know what?
is,
oops, sorry.
Right. The problem is though he's so. I mean, we've seen what can happen when someone who is in that poor physical condition gets any kind of stress applied to him.
Yes.
A slap could put him into a coma for 40 years. We don't know.
Now, is that a bad thing? Oh, wait, I'm just
I know.
Jest because I don't want to wish him bodily harm, but I probably if he
No, you don't need to wish him bodily harm, but it's different to wish one bodily harm and then cause one bodily harm.
True, well said. I'll promise you this. if he were to say it to Chris Kyle, you might get he would have got a quicker shot than anything.
Yeah.
Chris's response would have been probably less political than mine was, and mine wasn't very political.
No, it's funny. I've never served, and I'm very grateful to anyone who has. And I'll get comments from people, "You never served." I have served members of our military by going overseas and entertaining the troops. That's kind of what I can do. I got sucked into this racket as a comic by the time I was 16. So there was no option to. Not that I would have. I have horrible eyes and flat feet, and I don't think I'm not a particular physical specimen compared to someone like Chris Kyle. But it's one of those things that when I spent time with them, there is a certain kind of. Let me put it this way. Nowadays, there's even the argument, right? Do you want women on the front lines, or who should be allowed in the military? Which we won't even get into. But I will tell you who I want. And it's what I've seen is generally typical of most Marines. I want a leather-necked, loudmouth, rough guy who would be shooting something anyway, only instead of a deer, you put another human being who's a bad guy, and instead of a hunting rifle, an M16 in his hand. That's why I want defending this country, and you see that with a lot of members of the American military in specialized divisions like snipers. Sure. Not necessarily if you're just going into basic training. Nowadays, I think like 8 push-ups for some of these things is really pretty easy. Honestly, they've had to lower the level of physical excellence for certain branches of the military, and it's sad. I've written about that. But from Chris Kyle, everything I've read on the guy was a beast.
He was a beast. He made me look small. I have a photo of him standing there with a Superman S on and standing there with a little bit of a pose, and I look like his little brother.
In Superman pajamas.
Seriously, Chris was a big, strong guy, and that's not necessarily what you see with a lot of SEALs.
Sure.
They don't tend to be that big and strong. He was a big guy doing it. You said you didn't serve. I didn't serve either, but right. I was over in Iraq in 2005. I was there for a long time, a lot of forward operating bases, saw a lot of things, and that was the way I could serve. And I still do it every day now. I do all kinds of events for our wounded. You going over there and providing entertainment for those guys is so incredibly valuable, and it's a way of serving. And it's not even so much about serving or not serving, and everybody likes to jump on that. They did it with me too. It's about your respect level for our men and women in uniform and for what they do. And those guys just aren't showing that kind of respect.
No, they're not.
And that's what bothered me.
For a long time. How many years have you known Chris Kyle, the American sniper?
We met probably about I guess it was about 2.5 years ago. Okay. Wait, no, let me think. Let's see. He was killed a year after the show, and so I met him on the show. So I guess it's 2000. So 3 years ago, 3, 4. The time gets away from me, Stephen.
Yeah. I can.
This old stuff is really starting to tick me
Oh,
off.
come on, stop it. You say that, and then you've got like James Woods down the block or Larry King. I saw Larry King at a cafe in L.A. I swear to you, he's a Jim Henson hologram.
Yeah, well, but Larry's 114 years old. People don't know that.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and Larry's a buddy. I like Larry. He is. His head is sharp as a tack. His body may be. He's been like that for about 45 years. He's pickled in his current state for a long time. And it's pretty amazing. Guy is sharp as a tack. He still does his show, and I love going and doing it.
There's some guys, though, who've just, a great example. Larry King has always looked like he's 114.
Yes.
Kind of like Bryan Cranston has always looked like he's about 44. But now when he doesn't look any older. He always looked kind of older. I've always said this about Diane Lane, and I'm going to catch flight. Diane Lane has always looked like a prettier, slightly older woman. And now she is a prettier, slightly older woman. When she was 25, she looked like, she's a really pretty 38-year-old.
Well, I don't think she's slightly older than me, but I don't want to be specific. Right. I'm not sure. I think we're about the same age, but she's always looked pretty to me.
Yeah, she is.
Some people have, some people get that young gene. I'm part Japanese. Maybe that's what it is. I sure hope so. And I hope I don't, I hope I do the Dick Clark thing. I hope I look like this till I'm 98 and then it can all just go away one day. I'm fine.
Yeah, then it can just all go away like that.
Like that.
Okay, so let me ask you something here. We're talking about Chris Kyle, but let me switch topics. And I do this. I know this is a risk. Now, I started out as an actor and stand-up comic, and no matter what I do with kids, probably your son who's 14, they know the show Arthur, the cartoon. I did the voice of his best friend, the Brain. It was very out of character. That's why I was a method actor. I had to learn how to pretend to be smart. And people constantly bring it up. And I have other cast members who get really mad about that. I just think if it's touched someone in a way that they still remember that, good for them. When people bring up obviously Lois and Clark because it's such an American, it's such an iconic show. Does it bother you? Or are you like, I've got new stuff, or just go, hey, great, let's sign an autograph?
Well, one day Chris Kyle showed up on the set of Stars and Stripes in a Superman S shirt,
Right.
and a little cape.
Yeah.
And I whipped his ass. No, that did not happen. He looked at. I was like, "Damn, you look better at that than I ever did." No, I don't shy away from that at all. I'm so proud to have played that character, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, American icon of all time.
Sure.
Here you have this guy who is the most powerful guy in the world. He could be anything he wants to. He could take advantage of any situation, but because he's raised with small town American values, he doesn't, and he's the most honorable, wonderful guy. What else do you want? So to be
Sure.
associated with that, no skin off my back. I'll take it. It hasn't stopped me from working, although you wouldn't know that from some of the mean Skype comments. It's so funny. You hack. That's because you can't get a job.
Well, Skype. No, you mean Twitter.
I mean, not Skype, Twitter.
Yeah, because that would only be me. I'd be the one sending you mean comments on Skype.
Why would you say that
to me?
Right. Oh yeah, Twitter. It's so yeah. People say that stuff, but I work a ton, and I'm able to be a single father and be at home with my son, so I would not change a thing.
Yeah.
But that whole Twitter thing does.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it's so quick how things devolve. Like you could have anywhere on the internet. You could have someone say, hey, Olive Garden has a new unlimited salad and breadsticks. Someone says, I love Olive Garden. And it's just like the next comment is how they're going to hire a gang to murder his mom because Olive Garden sucks. And it's like 4 comments down.
Like, how'd that happen? It devolved very quickly.
Very, very quickly.
All you can eat salad, and now we're blowing it up.
I will tell you this, though. I do have a bit of a bone to pick with you.
All right,
you probably don't remember this. When I was a kid, and I wasn't initially allowed to watch Lois and Clark, 93, I was 6, and the intro had Terry Hatcher looking quite bosomy, let's be honest.
She is bosomy.
She is bosomy. And my parents were like, I don't think you need to be watching anything so bosomy. But there was an episode.
But it makes you feel like home, doesn't it?
Remember, this is on terrestrial radio.
We
have to be careful. I'm making you comfortable. That's good.
There were no visual.
Right, no.
I did nothing to that one.
Okay. But you, in an episode, got into some farmhouse, and I remember, as a kid, obviously I look up to Superman, and you put a glass down. The scene opens up, you're putting a glass down. I remember this clear as day. And you go, oh, nothing better than a ice-cold glass of buttermilk. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
And I had no idea what buttermilk was. I just thought, it's going to be great, like extra thick milk. And I just tasted it, and it was the worst, most sour experience. And I was like, damn you, Dean Cain.
It wasn't me. It was Clark.
Right.
Clark did that.
Clark.
And his parents taught him that. Because Superman doesn't need to eat. He ate for the pleasure of it because he got his power from the sun. Although your guy's not there to argue with me, so I'm okay.
Yeah, Fun Dip will come in and he'll argue.
Fun Dip, I probably said something wrong and I don't even realize it yet. But that was that in our show. However much you liked or disliked it, Fun Dip, that was our thing. That the buttermilk was funny, and that was a thing that was from him back at home when he was in Smallville.
Right.
And I apologize for your.
Thank you very much.
Don't drink buttermilk.
That was the only thing I wanted really to get out today. So now we have to get back to the news because it's obligatory.
Let's do it.
So Chris Kyle, obviously this American Sniper. You've seen the film, sure? Right?
Yes, I have.
Okay. I'll be honest. I haven't seen the film yet, namely because of all the it's so funny when there's so much controversy surrounding something. I feel like I have to just hit reset and forget about that and then go in and see it a little fresh. But it's amazing, not only Michael Moore, a guy like Seth Rogen coming in and calling it, essentially equating it to German Nazi propaganda. You're obviously pretty outwardly conservative. I'm not pulling you out of the closet here.
I was never in the closet. Okay?
You were never in the closet? As a
conservative?
conservative?
I see what we're saying. Okay.
I mean, you weren't as outward about this until more recently.
No, it's funny. I have very liberal social views, but when it comes to foreign policy and our military and those places and fiscal policy, I am extremely conservative.
So you would call yourself a libertarian, or do you just?
I am much more along the lines of a libertarian. Yes.
Okay.
I don't call myself really anything.
Yeah.
I have voted Democratic before.
How dare you?
Not for a while. It was Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton. You weren't old enough to vote.
Good Lord. No, I voted. My first election was the Canadian Prime Minister. I'm dual citizen.
There you go. So. I used to know one of Trudeau. Not Trudeau. What was my buddy Turner?
Oh,
I went to college with Mike Turner, and I believe his father was the PM for a little while.
Trudeau was a bit of an ass. Yeah. So I'm glad you switched it.
I can't comment on Canadian politics, but yeah, I voted for Bill Clinton. So I really will go with with a candidate, or maybe I got older and wised up. I don't know what it is.
Okay,
But
so
I've
you
been
voted for
Republican for
Bill.
the last few.
You voted
I voted for
Bill.
Bill Clinton.
Does that mean? Please don't tell me you'd go Hillary if she's the.
There's once that Benghazi thing happened, there was no way. I wasn't going to go Hillary anyway. I met her;
Right.
she was very nice to me, and but that's not. No, I would not vote for Hillary. That's not going to happen.
No, it's one of those things. It's so funny. As she was the. Isn't it amazing though? Right, you work in this industry in Hollywood. How the Clintons were just their golden family, and how quickly they threw Hillary under the bus for Barack Obama.
Well, the politics are ugly, and the more time I spend around politics, and the more I see it, the uglier it becomes. And I realize that it's, there's been a lot of talk of why don't you run for office? And sure, I might someday when I got nothing left to lose.
Right.
But what I don't like is I don't like, he's a 23-term congressman from like that's, you shouldn't do that. It should be a part-time job.
Right.
And I also don't like to see these guys getting rich in office.
Yeah.
I just, it doesn't jive with the whole, this is our constitution. Yeah, it just doesn't.
Well, it happens on both the right and the left too,
Oh yeah,
unfortunately.
it happens everywhere.
I mean, I hate to say this because the guy has been trying to get on the show, but Newt Gingrich, I think he went into public office. We had these numbers. He was worth his net worth was in the thousands. Left, it was like 30 million.
See, that's a problem.
Yeah,
that shouldn't be happening.
Good guy on a lot of other issues, but you look at, even John McCain is a perfect example. You couldn't have more of a career politician. And a lot of people will get mad because they're saying you should never bring Republicans into the mix when being critical. But I can appreciate that you don't label yourself, but you're not a liberal. Let's just be honest. You hate hippies.
I'm not much of a liberal. No, I'm not. No.
No liberals I know would want to punch Michael Moore in the kisser.
They might want to kiss him in the kisser.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything that I really liked of his, and I just really took offense to that comment. And hey, catch me at the wrong time and say that comment. It could be a bad show.
Well, it's funny. We have the right to free speech, right? But there are certain things that do warrant in the realm of manhood a smack. I'm not talking about legally. You would be wrong. Believe me, you would be wrong. It would be
legally.
battery.
I can't do it.
Right. But if you walk up to a guy and insult his dead best friend, I mean, you're walking into that one. And believe me, I'm at the other end where I was punched in the face by a union thug and people saying, well, you shouldn't have protested the union state. And that's different. But in this case, if someone walks up and insults your dead friend or dead mother, you've got to expect that. And that's just a perfect example, not as to whether you should hit him or not, though I would love to see it. But cowardice, that's the big irony.
Well, they know they're not going to get hit, and that's that thing. There's those intellects. I went to Princeton. I knew a lot of guys like that who thought they wouldn't get hit. They could say whatever they want to, and maybe they got hit. I don't know. So and there's a time where it's not all roses and everything. There's a real world out there. Unfortunately, right. for those that do that here, they don't realize that in 90% of the world, it's the bully that makes the rules, and someone like them, they don't have a chance because the strong guys would just smoke them. And
right.
But here, the strong guys are Chris Kyle and guys like him, and they protect their right to say that stuff, however misguided it may be, or however misguided I may think it is. And I respect their right. But I also, sometimes you want to be Gary Cooper or Jimmy Stewart and give him a good old sock. Let's put it this way: if it was in a film and I smacked him, everybody'd cheer.
Oh, they'd all cheer. Oh, they'd feel bad for him. Like, have you ever actually seen Michael Moore? It's the physique I have. We spend some time in northern Michigan every now and then. And
I was born in Michigan, right?
Now we're in Michigan.
Mount Clemens.
Oh, okay, there you go. But you got out pretty quickly, right?
I was 3.
Yeah, you were 3. Western Michigan, northern
better in Malibu.
Yeah, actually,
Malibu,
northern
California.
Michigan in the summer is, I would argue, more
gorgeous.
Beautiful. Yeah. And Michael Moore's up there. The Traverse City took a tax credit, by the way, to restore a theater. Didn't pay his 1% taxes. But people would feel bad for Michael Moore only because you'd be seen as more classically studly, and it's the physique of a man who's never done a push-up. So people inherently feel bad for him because he's this underdog, even though he's an ass.
That's for the slap. That's for the open hand slap.
The open hand.
Or even the backhand.
Right. I mean, I just can't. It's one of those things I can't get past it. And I know everyone, you get on the cable news and they want the sort of righteous indignation. And I can kind of sense now that when you look at it, you're like, man, it's pretty silly to think. But the internet breeds this, and it is the perfect breeding ground for someone like Michael Moore. He's the guy who probably has 20 different anonymous screen names telling the kid he wants to kill him for the Olive Garden.
Yeah, probably. And that's really scary because sometimes I'll see a tweet or something where someone says something really awful to me. So I'll click on their profile. They've got, 3 tweets and 4 followers, and the 3 tweets were mean things about me. I'm like, that's interesting timing. I don't know.
But you're so lovable.
Exactly.
Who hates Dean Cain?
Apparently, some of these guys.
Like, I expect it. I wade into it. I mean, I'm a bit of a jerk. Like, with that, I get it. I'm pretty bold. But you're Dean Cain. You're Superman. I don't get why people would be so angry with you.
I don't know, but you know what? I don't take my comments back. Maybe they're a little quick and a little rash. And I said to Seth, apparently he's walked his comments way back. And the tweet I said to him was, I like your movies, but right now I want to kick your ass. And I would say that to my buddies or anybody.
Sure.
And I didn't say I'm going to kick your ass.
No.
I usually don't. If I'm going to kick somebody's ass, I pretty much don't tell them I'm going to kick their ass. I just kick their ass.
Right.
But yeah, so he walked it back, and that's good, and that's fine. Although that was a stupid thing to say at the wrong time. He knew it. I think he was trying to be snide and a little snippy.
Well, he stole it too. Actually, that comment was stolen from a commenter, I think, on Reddit. They found it was just copy pasted, and he claimed it as his own. And it happens a lot in the comedy community. I've had friends who've done it. Speaking of which, though, we have to go. Mr. Cain.
I'm not done.
I know. We could keep you for another segment if you want to, but I think your son wants you to go back. Where can people find you on Twitter, by the way?
At Real Dean Cain. And if you're going to flame me, at least have more than 1 follower, okay? Please?
Yes. I'll be sure to tell people to follow them so that then they can flame you. I'll say, hey, follow these guys so we can watch this play out. Thank you, Dean. We appreciate it, brother. And we'll have to have you back.
I'd love it. Anytime.
Imam said she's 14. She's 14. By Sharia, grace of Allah, she's legal to be married. That is Sharia. By the way, over